Welcome to episode 3 of our serial killers series. In this video, we will be exploring the life and crimes of Ted Bundy, examining what drove him to commit such heinous acts and the legacy he left behind. Get ready for a chilling look into the mind of a serial killer. If you enjoy our videos, leave a like and subscribe. But for now, let's get into it. Ted Bundy can be easily described as one of the most notorious serial killers of the late 20th century. He was a kidnapper, burglar, and rapist who attacked many young women during the 1970s. Bundy is suspected of killing more than 36 people, with some believing the figure to be closer to 100. Before being put to death, Bundy confessed to 30 murders, with 20 being later confirmed. Ted Bundy is also known to have engineered 2 sophisticated escapes from prison. His case has inspired several popular novels and films devoted to his serial murders. Bundy was born on November 24, 1946, in Burlington, Vermont. He was raised in a middle-class family and was known to be a charming and well-spoken individual. He was intelligent and known to be a good student. However, Bundy's life took a dark turn when he became fascinated with violent pornography and began to engage in voyeurism and petty theft. Bundy's first known sexual attack happened in January of 1974. He broke into the apartment of Karen Sparks, a University of Washington student, while she slept, and beat her before sexually assaulting her. Sparks was in a coma for 10 days following the attack. She survived, but lived with permanent disabilities. Roughly a month later in February, Ted committed his first known murder. He broke into the apartment of Linda Ann Healy, another University of Washington student, beat her, and then abducted her. Her remains were later found at a Taylor Mountain site, where Bundy would leave multiple victims. Bundy continued to target young women, usually college students. He would approach them under the guise of needing help, then abduct them and take them to secluded areas to torture and kill them. From Washington, Ted went to Utah to finish law school, where he added more victims to his ongoing list. Laura Amy, Nancy Wilcox, Melissa Smith, Nancy Baird, Karen Campbell, and Debbie Kent were all conned by Ted. Their bodies were dumped in various places around the state. In November of 1974, Carol DeRanch was window shopping in Salt Lake City when Bundy approached her, claiming to be a policeman. He asked if she was parked outside, and when she said yes, told her a man had tried to break into her car. Bundy asked her to accompany him outside so she could see if anything was stolen. As she followed him to her car, she began to suspect something was wrong. DeRanch asked to see his ID, and Bundy flashed what looked like a police badge, satisfying her suspicions. They got to her car, made sure that nothing was missing, and Bundy asked her to accompany him to the police station for a statement. She followed him to his old and battered Volkswagen, took a close look at the torn seats, and questioned him again. Bundy told her that his name was Officer Roseland of the Murray Police Department. DeRanch was still suspicious, but entered the car anyway, where she soon realized they were headed in the opposite direction. She panicked and tried to escape. Bundy was quicker and managed to handcuff one wrist. When DeRanch continued to struggle, he pointed a gun at her. She glanced back, saw a car in the distance, and in one quick move, opened the door, threw herself out, and ran. After that incident, Bundy made his way to Colorado and murdered Julie Cunningham, 26, in Vail, whose body was never found. Denise Oliverson, 25, who lived in Grand Junction and was killed on April 6, 1975. Then Melanie Cooley in Nederland, and Shelley Robertson in Golden. After leaving Colorado, Bundy was traveling back through Utah and was pulled over by highway patrolman Bob Hayward. The officer found a balaclava, a crowbar, an ice pick, a pair of handcuffs, and a ski mask in Bundy's car. Ted was arrested, but remained very well-mannered, and was constantly explaining that he needed the mask and balaclava for skiing and had found the other items. He denied ever having been in Colorado, but a search of his apartment revealed a brochure from a hotel. He was later identified by Carol DeRanch as the man who assaulted her. It is believed that when Bundy and DeRanch had struggled in his car, she scratched him, leaving blood spots on her coat. These blood spots were identified as type O blood. Bundy had type O. In his glove box were receipts from gas stations that proved he had been at or near many locations where the girls in Colorado had vanished. One of the reasons why Bundy was able to evade capture for so long was his charm and intelligence. He was able to manipulate those around him and often acted as his own lawyer during his trial. June 7, 1977, after being transported from Garfield County Jail to Pitkin County Courthouse, Bundy escaped out of a courthouse window. 6 days later, he was recaptured. In December 1977, Bundy cut a hole in the ceiling of his cell into the apartment of the chief jailer, who was out for the evening, where he changed into street clothes from the closet and walked out the front door to freedom, after which he would make his way to Florida. January 15th, Bundy entered a sorority house in Tallahassee, Florida. He strangled Margaret Bowman and beat Lisa Levy to death after assaulting her. They were both left dead in their beds. 3 other girls were in the house. Kathy Kleiner, Karen Chandler, and Cheryl Thomas were all brutally beaten, but survived the attack. Bundy's final victim was a young girl of 12. Her name was Kimberly Leach, and she was abducted from her school gym, sexually assaulted, and strangled. Her body was left in a deserted hog shed. On February 15, 1978, Bundy was arrested for driving a stolen car. He went on trial in June for the sorority house murders. Ted stood no chance against the overwhelming evidence, including a witness who had seen him leaving the sorority house shortly after the attacks, a mask found in the house that resembled another in his possession, and a forensic odontologist who was able to match Bundy's teeth to the bite marks left on the victims. Bundy's trial was highly publicized, and as it was the first trial to be aired on television, he became a media sensation. Ted continued to maintain his innocence throughout the trial, despite the overwhelming evidence. It took the jury only 6 hours to find Bundy guilty and was sentenced to death in the electric chair by Judge Edward Cowart. For his last meal, Bundy refused to make a special request and therefore was given the standard last meal on Florida's death row: steak done medium rare, eggs over easy, toast with butter and jelly, milk, coffee, juice, and hash browns. Bundy did not eat a single bite. As the sun came up over the horizon on January 24, 1989, Ted Bundy was getting ready to face his death. Head shaved, he was strapped to the electric chair inside Stark Prison. He nodded in the direction of his lawyer as the straps were placed over his chest and mouth. A steel cap of electrodes was gently placed over his head. At 7:07 a.m., the executioner flipped the switch that sent 2,000 volts of electricity through Bundy's body. Outside in the morning air, dozens cheered as the hearse drove by carrying his lifeless body. Ted Bundy's last words were, "I'd like you to give my love to my family and friends." Bundy's case has been the subject of numerous books, documentaries, and films over the years. His story has fascinated and horrified people around the world. Bundy has been studied by criminologists and psychologists who have tried to understand what drove him to commit such heinous acts. Some have suggested that Bundy was a psychopath who enjoyed the power he had over his victims, while others believe that he was driven by a deep-seated need for attention. Regardless of the reason behind his crimes, Bundy's legacy is one of horror and tragedy. He destroyed the lives of many innocent young women and their families, and his crimes continue to shock and disturb people to this day. Bundy's case is a reminder that evil can come in many forms, and it is important to remain vigilant and aware of the dangers that exist in the world. Please like and subscribe for more murder mindset videos. Our twice-weekly videos aim to give you a quick and concise insight into the world's most prolific killers. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.